And as always, you guys are welcome to close the doors if you want. It's pretty warm right now. So, as I mentioned, we are done with the theory part of game theory, which is quite fun because now we really get into the applications of game theory. So whereas last time we talked about equilibria in infinite games and infinitely repeated games, we can think of mixed strategy as a form of infinite equilibria. You can think of tit for tat, where you do whatever your opponent did the previous round as an equilibria. We can think of the grim trigger strategy as an equilibria. Whereas last time we talked about this theory behind repeated games. Now we are getting into the applications. And today in particular, we're going to introduce auctions as a fun sort of application for strategic behavior. So what's an auction? It's a situation where you bid to buy stuff. Anyone else have anything they want to add to that?
So someone puts something up for auction, or maybe some of the profits are donated, or it goes straight back to whoever sold it, and then the highest bidder wins.
All right. So something goes up for auction. I don't know whether or not you're donating the profits has to do with anything, but highest bidder wins. The process of buying and selling goods by offering them up for bid, taking bids, and then selling the item to the highest bidder. Alternatively, we can think of an auction as taking bids and buying the item from the lowest bidder. So when Sweetbriar wants to hire a new contractor, we take bids and we buy contracting services from the lowest bidder. Auctions can go both ways. How are auctions strategic?
You have to have quick reaction time.
You might have to have quick reaction time, not necessarily, but how are they strategic?
There's players.
Okay. Who are the players?
The seller, you, and then other potential buyers.
Buyers and sellers, the people taking bids and people offering bids. But there are lots of situations with players that aren't necessarily strategic. What makes an auction strategic?
Depends on how when you bid, if you start bidding right away, someone doesn't notice that you really want it, and they might be in the crowd from the seller and just keep bidding against you for the price to go up.
All right. So people might bid against you. Can we generalize that to what we know about strategic behavior? How do we define strategic behavior in this class?
Your actions depend on others' actions.
Yeah, your payoff in an auction depends not only on how you value the good that's being sold at auction, but your bidding behavior and the bidding behavior of others. Questions so far? So let's have an auction in this class. I've got, to the highest bidder in this class, a crisp American $1 bill. I'm going to auction this off to all of you. The highest bidder is going to pay me their bid and in exchange get a $1 bill. But that's not a very fun auction. Let's add something to the mix. I'm going to be charging both the highest bidder their bid and the second highest bidder their bid. So let's give a trivial example. Suppose there are 3 bidders in this auction. Bidder 1 bids 10 cents, bidder 2 bids 5 cents, and bidder 3 bids 1 cent. The 10-cent bidder wins the dollar bill for the price of 10 cents. The 5-cent bidder does not win the dollar bill, but still has to pay, because they're the second highest bidder, the price of 5 cents. The third place bidder, who bid 1 cent, nothing happens. Questions so far? All right, let's auction off this dollar bill. Who wants to buy it? Anyone? How much are you bidding?
1 cent.
You're going to bid 1 cent. All right. Anyone want to top that? Great.
I'll do 5 cents.
5 cents. All right. Anyone want to top that? Just shout your bids out.
10.
Okay.
15.
15?
20.
Did you say 20 or 25?
20.
Alright.
Or
30?
40.
Cool. Keep it going.
Is there a minimum amount it has to be raised by?
I suppose we could put it at 1 cent since you guys don't have half pennies in your pocket. On the next slide, when we talk about this option, I talk about it in 5-cent increments, but that was really just to save, some space on the slide. As long as it's a real monetary amount, you can bid anything you want.
41.
All right.
45.
40 what?
5.
45.
As always.
Okay. Anyone want to bid more than $1? So Evelyn, you bid 45 cents, correct?
I was going to say it's 1 cent.
Okay. $1. Anyone else? Tamisha, right now you stand to lose $1.
Yeah, I'm cutting my loss.
Well, you're not cutting your losses. Cutting your losses would be bidding $1 too.
If I keep going, then she's gonna keep going.
Exactly right. So what happened in this option?
Started with the lowest price we could, and then it slowly went up. And like Grace fell off because I think she got to a point of where she spent to lose money to make money, and then I thought, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and match it. Maybe they'll stop bidding, but then everyone kept bidding, so I decided I was done.
Right, let's take that and put it in some more general terms, right? The game begins with any number of players, right, hoping to make a profit. You can buy $1 for less than $1. That is rational. It is rational in the sense of, your payoff exceeds your costs. More money is better than less money. So someone bid 1 cent, 5 cents. It is rational to outbid them. To a point. Once we get to $1, 100 cents, we're at this interesting point where you stand to lose if you're not the highest bidder, you stand to lose money. But the way you lose less money is by bidding more and more than $1. Further, if you are the second place bidder and the bid is more than $1, you're always going to lose more money by not outbidding. So the closing bid was $1.01. If you had bid $1.02, Jamisha, you would be winning. As it stands, you're losing $1. So if you bid $1.02, you would still be losing money because the payoff is $1. You would be losing 2 cents instead of the $1 you're losing now. This is one of those strange areas of game theory where what is seemingly rational leads to irrational behavior. In fact, the only way you can be rational is being me, the auctioneer.
Or by not bidding.
Not bidding is irrational, though, because you could have had a profitable bid. So you raise a really excellent point, right? It's not let's put it differently. It's not irrational to bid when the price is below $1. But in order to not lose money, or in order to lose less and less money, we have to keep bidding, which in turn makes us lose more and more money. Let's talk about auctions more generally, and I'll be expecting my payment from both of you at the end of class. Who can think of types of auctions? You guys have seen auctions before. Who can think of some types?
Farm.
Okay.
Silent auction.
Silent.
Livestock.
Livestock. So it's kind of interesting. Two of you are mentioning the types of goods being auctioned. One of you is mentioning the auctioning format. When we think of auctions in game theory, we think of four main types. The English oral auction, the Dutch auction, the first price sealed bid, and the second price sealed bid. The first two are called open outcry auctions. Like we just did, you guys cried out your bids. The sealed bid is called a sealed bid auction, where no one knows what you bid. Julia, you mentioned silent auctions, which are interesting because it sounds like you couldn't classify them as open outcry. But silent auctions are just an English oral auction. It just happens that the mechanism is writing it down instead of saying it out loud. In terms of game theory, we can think of an open outcry auction as a sequential game. We had a round where one of you bid 5 cents. In the next round, one of you bids 10 cents. In the next round, one of you bids 15 cents. We have the history of this sequential game tracked. We know the players, we know the rules. We might think of a sealed bid auction, where you write your bid down, put it in an envelope, give it to the auctioneer, as a sequential game. Everyone making their moves at once. Let's talk about what these auction types look like. We're really just chugging along. English auctions are the auctions that most people picture when we say auctions, whether we're talking about cars or livestock or silent auctions. We've got an auctioneer, we've got bidders submitting public bids. In order to continue on in the auction, you need to bid higher than the previous one. This continues until there's only one bidder left. This is what we typically think of when we think of auctions. $1, $1, $1. Do I hear $2? So let's say we're dealing with a classic English auction. Open outcry, English auction. Suppose it's for something you guys really like. What's your bidding strategy? This is a game after all. It is a situation of strategic behavior. What is your strategy to bid an English auction? Start low.
Like, I feel like you don't want to start too high, but you don't want to start too low to try to maybe deter others from bidding.
Okay, excellent point. Let's say the auctioneer is determining the starting point. You're just bidding.
You said it's an item everyone wants?
It's an item you want for sure,
Well,
right? If it's an item you don't want, your strategy is don't bid. That's trivial.
maybe start by matching the auction,
Okay, and then what?
and then depending on what other people bid, you'll have to increase.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone have a different strategy?
Bid as low as possible up until the values of what you think the items were.
Great job. So let's suppose we were doing that dollar auction again, but didn't have that stupid rule about the second person paying as well. What would you do?
Bid until the bid reaches $1 and then stop bidding.
You would try and get it for less than $1. That'd be great if you could, but you certainly wouldn't bid past $1. In this case, we might think of $1 as how much you value the good being auctioned. Right? The bidding strategy in an English auction is pretty straightforward. Bid more than your competitor, so long as the bid does not exceed your value. Effectively, the winner of an English auction gets their item for whatever the second player's bid is, plus a little bit more. Here we've got some variables, but let's put it in general terms. Julia, you went to Chipotle this weekend. What did you get?
I got Panda.
Okay. You went to Panda Express this weekend. What did you get?
The whole white rice, honey sesame chicken.
Okay. You got honey sesame chicken. Who here likes honey sesame chicken? All right. Jamisha, how much do you like honey sesame chicken? How much would you pay for a bowl of white rice with honey sesame chicken? $5. That's your private valuation. You value a bowl of honey sesame chicken. We can put some chopsticks there. You value a bowl of honey sesame chicken at $5. Julia, you really like Panda Express. Suppose you value a bowl of honey sesame chicken at $7. You don't go outright and bid $7 in this auction. You wait for the other players to drop out. So if Jamisha drops out at $5, you might want to bid $5.01. That's effectively what happens in an English auction. The winner of the auction is the last person standing. They are paying whatever the second place person is plus the increment. Question so far? Now, we've all seen auctions on TV. Some of us might have participated in them before. Is this what happens? Actually participated in an auction this past weekend on eBay. eBay, the auctioneer, is essentially a computer program. They raise the increment for you. What you do when you log on to eBay, and you type in the search bar, bowl of honey sesame chicken, you see who's selling it, what the price is, what the shipping is. You put in your maximum bid. They don't charge you your maximum bid. They charge you the existing bid plus a little increment. But I got this email. This is a real email I got on Saturday, March 6th at 6:34 p.m., 2 days ago. Your bid is winning, but watch out for competition. You are currently the highest bidder. Looking good so far, but you could still be outbid. Be sure to tune in towards the end of the auction. Now, why would I do that? I already told them my maximum willingness to pay. The invisible auctioneer, the computer program, raises the increment. I have no benefit from tuning in. The only thing that can happen if I tune in and change my bid is me either still losing or winning and paying more than I intended to. Don't listen to the emails that eBay tells you. Think about the strategy behind the auction. Questions so far? Let's talk about Dutch auctions. Remember, I said there were 4 main types of auctions. English, which is what we think about when we hear the word auction, English oral auctions. Has anyone heard of a Dutch auction before? What is it? All right. Does anyone know what a Dutch auction is? Dutch auction is the opposite of an English auction. With a Dutch auction, or I should say with an English auction, the last bidder wins. With a Dutch auction, the first bidder wins. How does that work? Well, instead of starting at a low price and seeing the bid go up and up and up and up, a Dutch auction starts at a high price. The first person to bid ends the auction. So let's use our example of sesame, honey, chicken, rice bowl. I'll put the chopsticks back. We've got this sesame, chicken, rice bowl up for auction. Who wants to pay $200 for it? 100, 50, 25, 15, 10, and so on and so forth until we get to Julia being the highest willingness to pay at $7. When you bid, that ends the auction. Questions so far? Now, though your willingness to pay was $7, you might not bid that, right? So what's the strategy? Let me first reiterate. Dutch auctions, the price descends until someone agrees to buy. Agreeing to buy ends the auction. They're called Dutch auctions because of the fresh cut flower market in Amsterdam. This is one of the biggest marketplaces in the world. And the way it works is you've got a bunch of clocks. The clocks show what type of flowers, how long their stems are, what color they're in, how many plants are in a bundle, all the salient details that a flower merchant would want to know. The clock behaves like a regular clock, so at regular increments, the price goes down. Stopping the clock ends the auction. The price continues to drop until every bunch of flowers at the Amsterdam flower auction is sold. So what's your strategy? We talked about, Jamisha, you think a honey chicken bowl is worth $5. Julia, you think a honey chicken bowl is worth $7. The strategy here is kind of interesting because the strategy is actually to bid less than your valuation. Whereas there was a dominant strategy in an English auction. And the dominant strategy is keep bidding until we get to your valuation. Here, there's no longer a dominant strategy because there's this risk, this trade-off between the probability of winning and the amount paid when you win. So you could certainly stop the honey sesame chicken bowl auction at $200 if you wanted, but that would just be throwing your money away. No one values Panda Express that high. Once we get to your evaluation, say we're at the $6, $7, $8 mark, then it really becomes this game of strategy where you don't know how much the other players value it. But if you keep going just a little bit, you can get more and more value because you can get your private value of a chicken bowl, $7, plus the money you're saving. So if one of you values it at 5 and one of you values it at 7, and you can effectively bid 501, you earn basically $2 in profit, plus you get your chicken. How you make this decision depends on your risk attitude, how many players are in the auction, the increments, what you believe the probability distribution of valuation is, so on and so forth. Questions so far? All right. So we talked about these open outcry auctions. They can be price ascending, English oral, or they can be price descending, Dutch, reverse auctions. There's also a sealed bid auction. And remember, when we talk about sealed bid, we talk about them more in the sense of a simultaneous game, where all the players are making their decisions at the same time. In a sealed bid auction, the buyers submit sealed bids. The object goes to the player who submits the highest bid. That's true in a first price sealed bid auction. That's true in a second price sealed bid auction. The difference is whether you're paying your own bid or the second highest bid. All right. So what are your, first of all, any questions on how a sealed bid auction works? What are your strategies in these two cases? Suppose we're doing a first price sealed bid auction where you're bidding the same time as everyone else. You don't know what anyone else is bidding. Highest bidder pays, and they pay their own price. What's your strategy?
The first price, you want to bid low enough where it's still below your value, but high enough where you think you still have a chance of winning it compared to other bids.
So it sounds like your strategy, if I might paraphrase a bit, is to shave your valuation a little bit. Why do you say that?
So that you're not paying more than you think the object is worth, but you still get the object compared to the probability of other people.
Great job. So it sounds like you're saying because the highest bidder is paying their own bid, they have incentive to pay less than the true valuation. What about in a second price sealed bid auction? Who has a strategy here?
You would pay the value of something.
You would bid.
Yeah, you would bid.
Why is that?
Because you don't want to bid more because it goes to the second, so you wouldn't want to pay more than what you think it's worth. And then you still kind of want to have it, so I wouldn't take the risk of trying to go under what I think it's worth.
Yeah, let's put that more formally. In the first price, it's never optimal. First of all, it's never in either of these optimal to bid higher than your value, right? In the first price sealed bid auction, you'll end up paying higher than your value if you win. The second price sealed bid auction, you might end up paying higher than your value. Paying higher than your value is essentially throwing money away. If you think a chicken bowl is worth $5, paying $6 for a chicken bowl is the same thing as losing $1. So it's never optimal to bid your value or higher. Let's talk about your value and lower, right? How low should you go? Because raising your bid increases the chances of winning, but lessens the profit you get. And again, the optimal bid in this case, and we're not going to derive the math behind it, that's out of the scope, but the optimal bid in this case depends on how many other bidders there are and what you believe their values are. Second price is a little different. You have this incentive to bid your true value. Again, it doesn't make sense to bid above your value because then you can win with a loss. Let's go back to the chicken bowl example. If I think a chicken bowl is worth $5, I'm not going to bid 10 in case there's someone out there who thinks a chicken bowl is worth 9. But I would never bid less than my value. I don't benefit from price shaving because I'm not paying my own price, I'm paying the second price. What I benefit from is telling the truth, bidding your true value. Questions so far? Why do we care? Why is this important?
Because you care about winning the auction. So you want to have a strategy.
Right, so as individual bidders, we might care about winning the auction. Why, as social scientists, might we care? What do auctions do? Certainly an answer could be you don't care. That's up to you, it's not my job. But the reason auction theory is important is twofold. One, allocation. Sometimes we want a good or a service to go to the person that values it the most. We can think of a situation right now where we might be auctioning off vaccines. We can also think of situations where, in the case of vaccines, auctioning it off to the highest bidder might be socially problematic. But there are some cases where auctioning goods is a good way to understand who values what and why. Sometimes we want to design an auction so that we make the most money. There are lots of reasons why auction theory is important. So let's look at those 4 different auction types and see if we're trying to make the most money, if they have the same expected yield. So we talked about 4 auction types. Did any seem more or less similar to you in terms of optimal strategy? Okay. Did any seem more similar? Well, we had 2 auctions where you're bidding your true value. And we had 2 auctions where you're incentivized to shave what your true value is. Right? Such auctions look a lot like sealed bid auctions, where there's that trade-off between if you can extract surplus from the auction, if you can get the good you value plus a little extra, versus the desire to not lose the thing you care about. With both the first price sealed bid auction and the Dutch auction, we had incentive to shave our true value down. Whereas with English auctions and with second price sealed bid auctions, we had incentive to bid up to our true value. In the English auction, it looks a little different because we're not necessarily bidding our true value. We're just staying in the auction until it reaches our true value. But we have incentive to truthfully report. So in the English auction, for instance, we don't have incentive to leave early, and we certainly have incentive to not leave late. Dutch auctions and first price auctions, in other words, have this optimal strategy of underbidding, which isn't true of second price auctions. As business people, we might care about making money off an auction. So the question is, do different auction types yield the same amount of revenue for us? The question is, under what conditions do they yield the same type of revenue? So here we can think of different values in the bidders, and by values I mean more like morals, right? Are they risk neutral or risk averse? If you are risk neutral, then your bidding behavior isn't going to be influenced as much by what you think the other people are going to do. If you are risk averse, we expect to see more revenue from the first price auction. Think about it. If you are risk averse in a Dutch auction, you're not going to hold out for that extra second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds while the clock is ticking. You're going to get much closer to bidding your true value if you're risk averse. We can also think of auctions as having private values or common values. So in the case of a dollar auction where everyone values a dollar bill the same, that's a common value. But in the case of fresh cut tulips or Panda Express chicken bowls, we might all have different valuations for the good being auctioned. Questions so far? What we see is different types of auctions taking place for different goods and services. And the type of auction depends on what we're trying to do. Artwork we typically see as a English auction. IPOs, similarly, English oral auction. Logging rights we might see as a sealed bid auction. The type of auction that the auctioneer chooses depends on the environment they face. Why is this important? Because we see auctions all the time. We see them in practice, and they're very important for the ways in which we as just everyday people interact with the world. Let's watch this video.